What's up, Jungle?
How we doing?
All right, mate. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Chicken nuggets, different accent right now for what you're probably used to hearing in a show like this, but hoping to interject everything that I know and hopefully just ask questions of a guy who wants to be a champion.
All right. I like that. Sounds good. Well, let's get into it. I think let's see here. So, we've got our my bad. We've got we got a guest coming on early. We got Edgy, who's our one of our mods there in the chat. He had our week 8 Steeds bet, so he'll be on shortly. We got some waiver stuff for you. We had 12 trades today, which is an NFL record at the deadline. So we'll go over some of that. Get some waivers, start talking about some fantasy prep for those teams that are ready for it. So,
what are you most excited for the coming week?
Well, I mean, as a Seahawks fan here, as you might notice, we're looking a lot better than I thought we would. And I'm starting to feel like maybe we got some fringe playoff hopes. I thought maybe we try to make a move today. I wasn't even sure quite what we might target, but I'm kind of feeling decent about our outlook. Geno Smith looks like a new man, and I don't know. I'm kind of excited.
No injuries.
So for us, Rashad Penny was kind of our big one, but it's kind of turned into a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it unleashed our rookie Ken Walker, who is looking like he's on the fast track to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Do we take guests on the show? Hell yeah, we do. We've got Edgy coming up here shortly to talk about our Steeds bet, and then we can get you up here. Let's see here.
Hills made this. Really wants to get on here, huh?
What's that?
I said Hills made this. Really wants to get on.
Can viewers join to talk? Yeah, we can. We can send you a link to bring you up. There's the link to bring you up right there. All right. We don't have Edgy here. Why don't we? Do you have an NFL team, Chicken Nuggets there?
Of course, grew up in England. So as a kid, my old man's a Broncos fan. And then he said, pick a team. This is a strange game. Get used to it. It might take off. I don't know if it'll take off here in the UK. Yeah, you never know. Maybe I'll live in America. Been here 12 years. You never know. I'll pick New England Patriots simply because they have the word England in their name. Now I sound like an average soccer fan from anywhere else in the world. But I live in Northern California, so it's the Niners or the Raiders it used to be the Raiders that are close by. But to be honest, football is one of those games that I could watch anything. And being in the culture of it, and for me as a soccer guy, the background of the culture of the game, being all around it, I think just how much people are into the game is exciting for me on itself. And then being around other people that are all about the game as it's life and death. And I can relate to that as a soccer fan, and traveling the world, watching England play. I'm all about it. I'm here for that stuff. So give me any team that's pretty good. I'm miserable when it's a boring Monday night game or a Thursday night game. And I think you just can't go wrong for a good live sporting event. And so this is why I'm here. This is why I'm all about this.
Yeah, fair enough. I lived in Seattle for a long time, had season tickets. I went to the Super Bowl that we won, and I went to the back-to-back NFC championships we won. And then kind of as I moved away and we're a little more mediocre, I feel like I was a little almost rooting harder for my fantasy team than the actual Hawks. And
so let me ask you about that then, because I see a lot of football fans that support a team, but then are picking players that are maybe from other teams that they don't like or don't want to do well in certain circumstances throughout the season. So then is it Seahawks first versus your fantasy teams, or do you flip-flop depending on how they're doing?
I would say right now, it really depends how the season's going, right? So if we're looking at like a
fair weather fan. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, if we're looking at a 6-11 season, now you're starting to root for the Seahawks to lose because you want a better draft pick, right? So it just depends what you're rooting for. But right now, I'll take a Hawks win over a fantasy win. So, but there's certainly times where like
right now, yeah,
we're looking good. I mean, there's certainly times, say like you're up by, Hawks are up by 14, and you've got the opposing team's running back, and you're like, well, we could handle a touchdown. He might as well get one. We could absorb it.
So that's tough because I grew up playing fantasy soccer in the same way, and I always had friends who would make a rule that they would never pick players from their rivals. They would never pick players from people that they don't want. There you go, Tom. I'd never draft a Cowboy ever. And I agree with you because there's like I don't know, you have to stab yourself in the eye. If you're supporting a player from an opposing team that you just can't stand, like, I don't know. That's where I struggle with a little bit of fantasy on that one.
I mean, so, Hawks fan, I would say the team that I hate the most is actually the Rams, even though the Niners and us kind of have the more classic battle, because we have dominated that battle for pretty much, the whole time we've been competitive that I've been an adult, really. And but the Rams have our number. So,
how many Rams players do you have in your team or in your multiple
I've got
teams?
Some Darrell Henderson a little bit, but I mean, he's a guy you can't even start really anyways with any confidence. I don't have any Cooper Kupp. I would have been happy to get it at the right price. But I mean, I think Stafford's a bum. So, I'm kind of out on that. We usually start the show with a quick rundown of how the fantasy weekend went. I got my 6 leagues. I won KFFL. That puts me at 7-1, first place in my division. And then, let's see, I won all 3 of my ESPN leagues. And then I went 1-2 in sleeper. And one of my sleeper losses is one where you get a win for your versus matchup and then a win for being in the top half of scorers. So I split. So
that's really generous. Does that make you feel good?
I think it's a superior scoring system because actually in our league right now, here let me bring it up because we had our number 2 scorer went ahead, and I think Jigga's gotta bring this up, but there we go. So our number 2 scorer here. Ooh, wrong league. Was for the love. Let's see here. Oh, that's me. That's why I'm clicking on it. Yeah, so our number 2 scorer in the league at 159.5 got an L playing the number 1 scorer. That's just a brutal way to go down for the week. So at least being able to go 1-1 that week when you're second high scorer, I think is a nice touch. And so when you go to like that league, you look at the standings here, you've got people who are 13-3, 12-4 already, because you got the 2 potential per week. Does
that make it more fun? Is that a better? You think that's better? You said superior. Is that a better way to go? Is that something worth pursuing for a fantasy league?
I think it's the best way to do it. Pizza. I mean, I don't know why they didn't run Daniel Jones more. It was a surprising week. I think Seattle's defense is underrated. They're actually number 2 in fantasy now. But I don't know. It was a shift in game plan. I feel like he was getting a lot more design run or at least like RPO type stuff before, and they really tried to stick him in the pocket, which Hawks have a pretty good pass rush. I don't know. It was a weird move. I know. Not my fault, but I don't know. I thought he was a much better play. I was really surprised that Wan'Dale Robinson only had 1 for 6. It was kind of a weird game. They also had the 2 muff punts, which really kind of hurt their time of possession and ultimately all their offensive guys. Yeah, I blame me too. I got no qualms with that.
God knows nothing. I just saw Daniel Jones 90% rostered dropped. Is that right? People dropping him?
Daniel Jones? There's no way he's 90% rostered.
D Jones, I just see 90% rostered. So where am I? CBS Sports. Clearly, I'm Googling as we're talking. So I'm looking at what's going on. So of drop candidates, if that tells you anything.
Well, some good drop candidates. Jigga, why don't you hit us with the injuries? Because although it wasn't a terrible week for injuries, I would say. Look at that graphic. So Cooper Kupp, he had an ankle sprain. Doesn't look too serious. They're calling him day to day. He's probably fine. I think Cooper Kupp's biggest issue is Stafford, not the ankle. Gus Edwards, hamstring injuries coming off that major knee reconstruction. If he misses time, you have to start Kenyon Drake. And if you need to win this week and Kenyon Drake's available, I think you got to go and pay for him, even if it's just a 1 week thing. Justice Hill isn't going to do much. I think Kenyon Drake is probably a back end RB1 if Gus is out. Problem is we won't know that, so you're going to have to pay up and then maybe, be wrong. Christian Watson got a concussion. Not that Christian Watson really matters, but if Lazard's still out, I think Dobbs is a smash start, even if he doesn't necessarily trust him. Mark Ingram getting hurt. You saw Kamara go for 41, and I think Taysom Hill is probably the biggest benefactor there. There was some talk that they were going to try to ship, or they were getting some offers for Ingram that they were or for Kamara that they were entertaining, but that didn't go anywhere today. So, and then Mark Andrews left after like 3 catches for 30 early in the second quarter on Thursday. He's got a shoulder injury. Don't have a lot of details. They're saying it's not serious, but that rookie Isaiah Likely came in, had a great game. I think it was like 7 for 70 and a score. And if Mark Andrews is out, Isaiah Likely is probably a top 5 tight end. But similar to Kenyon Drake, you're not going to know when waivers run if those, if either of those guys play, you can't play Drake, you can't play Likely. So, well, maybe you could play Likely just because tight end's such a fucking dumpster fire, but you could go that route.
So what are the chances of these guys being what would you say, like unrostered, like in the waiver right now? How many of these guys could you realistically pick up, or is everybody scrambling for the same thing now?
These guys that are injured?
No, the guys that you're talking about in reference that came in instead of.
So both the guys I just mentioned are on the waivers list, and I've got their roster percentages across all sleeper leagues there. But to make the list, they have to be under 60% rostered. So I know they're both under that. I just don't remember off the top of my head what they're at. Oh, here we go.
I'm here. I'm here.
What's up, Edgy? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good.
I almost forgot. I got to over here watching this Orlando OKC game and got distracted. About forgot to jump on.
Oh man, I cannot imagine being distracted by an NBA game.
We play some DFS, man. Everything matters.
That's fair.
Except who wins.
Right.
Yeah. So what's going on?
We're just went over the injuries for the week. Nothing too crazy, I'd say.
All right. Yeah.
And then I was actually about to crack open my inaugural D-Gen Haze here.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, mine just came
in. Dude, I'm excited for this.
In the mail a couple days ago.
Have you tried it?
No, I don't have any chilled.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Live review.
Oh, it's smooth. It's real smooth.
Everybody I've talked to said it's very good.
Oh, it's nice. You know how some hazes kind of leave like almost a little fuzz on the aftertaste?
Oh yeah.
Like that. This is pretty clean, pretty non-sticky in technical terms.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. Chicken nugs, what's going on?
Good, Edgy. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well, thank you. Just watching Wagner just brick 3 after 3. It's just tilting, but okay. Oh, there's a rebound at least. All right, so let's get this over with here and see what happened on the week.
Let's see. I think I can bring it up. I can bring it up on both accounts here. Let's see. All right, so we are looking at our Week 8 Steeds bet. I do this once a week. I've lost 3 in a row coming into this week, and it's just high score across different KFFL teams. I've never actually played anybody in my division. My division isn't very active. Like, I've proposed about 30 trades. I had a couple like side talks going on, but I have yet to get anyone to. There hasn't been a single trade in my league.
I think there's only been one in ours.
Yeah.
It was me and Sparty, and no one else, will even like respond to trade requests. No declining, no counters, no messages. Just
well, the thing about
tough
when people
scene.
don't decline or counter is then you run the risk of, because I think Sleeper defaults to like 7 days.
It defaults to never. I don't think.
Oh, to never.
I don't think it ever expires if you don't change it. I've had to withdraw a bunch.
You got to go in and make sure that you're not hanging on a trade offer and end up with somebody out for the season.
Yep.
All right, so I came up with the 156.5, pretty good rebound week for me. It's really on the back of Deontay Foreman having a career day, and then Aaron Jones finally kind of doing himself. Tyler Lockett's probably been my, I don't know, best point production for the dollar player this year. I think I got him for $1 or $2. I mean, he was, my draft my auction went nuts. By your 9th nomination, nobody had any more money. So it was essentially a snake draft. So whoever you nominated was yours because nobody could bid more than one.
Okay.
So it got pretty weird. I mean, I was out by like the 13th round because I had my roster full.
Who else in your league?
Nobody I know.
Okay.
I'll show you.
See if I recognize any names.
So, yeah,
nope.
I mean, I don't. No, so I mean,
nope,
I've got some side chats with a lot of these guys, but they're not no nights I really know. I wasn't able to draft till like the day before the season started, and so I think a lot of people had gotten in early who were more active in the community. But who knows? And then let's see here. We've got send me your score here.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, I don't see the total on there, but it was what, 139?
Yeah, I sent the total separate because I think I instead of sending the.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. There it is. All right, so I took her down.
You got me. I will admit, when Andrews got hurt on Thursday and I knew you had him, I was like, okay, I was feeling pretty good because I knew you probably spent a lot of money on him. So I didn't know what the rest of the roster looked like. It looked about how I expected. They just didn't play how I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I paid, I think, like $25 for Allen Robinson, and I cut him after week 2.
Oh, yeah. He's been a disaster.
I at least saw the writing and moved on, which I feel like is a hard thing to do. And
they're still giving him those fades, like in the red zone, but
he's at an end zone target every single game.
Yeah.
Which,
what is he, like 2 for 8 or something?
That's not great.
No,
yeah, you cannot play him.
No, absolutely not. I actually dropped. I had so I was playing Darrell Henderson. I went 0 RBs basically. So I was playing like Darrell Henderson, Kareem Hunt, AJ Dillon, a lot of those guys. Well, I had CH early on. I traded him to Sparty after like week 3, I think, or something like that. But
that was a good sell on him.
But I got AJ Dillon in return, who's been worse. So, but I did get Kittle in that deal, and that's been good. So
yeah,
I was hoping Hunt would get traded. I really thought he was going to go. I thought if he didn't go to Buffalo, that he would go to Miami. And I really thought the Rams would even make a play for somebody, but I don't know what they're doing. They're awful. So maybe they're reading the writing on the wall too.
I also saw that they offered 2 firsts and Cam Akers for Brian Burns, but their next first is until 2024, I think. So.
For who? Who's Brian Burns?
The Panthers DN. He's a stud.
Oh. Couldn't tell you. If he's a defensive player, not going to know him. Sorry.
Oh, Sparty's 0-8. Ooh.
Sparty's having a rough go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had some really bad injuries. Keenan Allen was like, I think, his top receiver, and he's been out since like the first quarter of week 1.
Yeah. That's less than ideal.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that moment? Yeah, some of your top guys are done like that. What do you do? Just hope that you pick up some trash off the waiver or what?
I'm definitely trying to pick up any backup, especially like a PPR backup guy. Like right now, I know in our league we've got a few guys that are available people are definitely going to bid on them tonight, but they're not going to be starters. It's just taking a stab at somebody going down or
hoping someone sticks.
The league is really, the draft is important, but you could have a dog shit draft and still absolutely win your league.
Well, we had a very interesting draft. Only one thing was interesting about it, and it was a misbid on Aaron Jones. I think he bought him for $68. So his team was, but he already had Kelsey, and he spent a lot on Kelsey too. So it's like Kelsey and then AJ or Aaron Jones, and then he's just been grinding on the waiver wire, and he's actually got a very respectable team. And he ran bad this week.
Obviously.
Oh,
Aaron
yeah.
Jones, his last 3 weeks have been solid.
He's been crushing, but he ran into Smoke had the Hurts, AJ Brown stack, and he had Pollard. And he had that's like 100 points right there.
I
mean, if Devontae Adams would have done anything at all, Smoke would have won. I shouldn't say anything, but if he would have had a normal Devontae Adams week, 15, 20 points somewhere in there, I think Smoke would have had the high score on the weekend in the whole league. But he crushed outside of that, and I think he only
somebody had like 220. I think.
Did somebody end up with 220? Last I saw was 203.
I thought that's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think he would have caught that. I don't think he would have. Our league's pretty competitive. I've seen some teams in some other leagues that are just like, I don't understand how they're so stacked, but they are. So
I mean, it's weird to like look at a stacked team now because the perception of those players have shifted so much.
Yeah. Definitely depends on who you're looking at, but there's some. I'm just like waiting on running back injuries. If I just can get, I keep waiting for Uncle Lenny to go down in Tampa.
You holding Rashad White?
Yep, had him all year.
His snap share's going up every week anyways.
Yeah, I think he might be playable here in the next couple of weeks, especially if they like just tap out. He'll play.
Yeah.
A lot.
Why don't we, Jigga, bring up the running back waivers? Because he's definitely on that list. He's about 40% rostered. And
he's only 48%
rostered across sleeper leagues, and snap share's going up. Lenny's looking old, tired. And I do feel like he's the kind of guy where once the team's not kicking, he's just not kicking either,
Yep.
And they're 3 and 4.
Lenny's going to have a bad hammy here in about a week or two.
Yeah. And then it'll be nice and healthy if they turn it together.
And I don't think they're going to. So I suspect the hammy is going to get sore very quickly and remain that way.
As somebody who rode Deontay Foreman to a victory this week, I don't want Chuba Hubbard to come back, but I think they're going to want to see a little bit more of what he can do. I think Foreman cemented himself as the number one there, but Hubbard's going to get a big snap share, get probably 30 to 40% of the work when he comes back, and who knows what's going to happen there. Their offense is considerably better with PJ Walker, so I think some of the Panthers are playable. DJ Moore is getting targeted a lot. He's had 3 weeks in a row. I think is a backhand like wide receiver 1. So hard to argue.
Yeah,
with.
they have nowhere else to go.
Right. Well, that's not true. I mean, Terrence Marshall had best game of his career. I think he had 9 targets. He had like 80 yards. So,
DJ's an alpha though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's an actual talent. He's not just a product of targets. He's an actual elite receiver. You got James Cook. He had his biggest snap share of the week.
Do not anybody Hines, watching. Right? Do not pick him up. Yeah, Hines is. Cook
I
is
submitted this last night.
rest in
and I
pieces.
worked all day, so I just recently got cut up on the trade line on the trades that happened today. So
Yeah, that was a rough one because he was looking really juicy.
I mean, yeah, in a keeper league or something, he's still worth rostering probably, but yeah, he's probably dead. I think Kenyon Drake is I think he's a must-start running back if Gus is out, and if not, you're gonna be mad you spent money on him. But I don't think it's unreasonable, even if Gus's hamstring is all right, to think they'll sit him. He just came off like a 3 ligament 1 tendon injury. So
I couldn't believe they played him on Thursday, and I know they're regretting it. But
yeah,
coming off the short week, he had a really good game. Looked like he had a lot of juice. It was limited touches. Everything worked out, I guess, exactly how they wanted it to. But it's just, with it being on such a short week, I don't know. They know better than us, I guess. But it's just like, I'm sure he was completely healthy, and it was just a fluke. It could have happened regardless. But it's just one of those things where then you're like, well, yeah, he is coming off like catastrophic, maybe never play again injury to playing in his first
he had
game.
the kind of injury that if you had it 15 years ago, you never played again.
Oh no.
But obviously
they might have just cut his whole leg off.
Right, you just see an amputee. Just surgical improvements. Obviously, everything's come around, but I don't know. I think if you need a win this week, you need a running back. You pay a few dollars for Kenyon Drake, and then you probably just hold him, because this scenario very well might present itself again this season. Their 2 stud running backs are again, or they're not right. So it might happen again.
Baltimore's going to pound it no matter what. So especially Bateman going down for whatever 4 to 6 weeks. That's just further Andrews being banged up. Like
if Bateman's out and Andrews is out, I mean, Kenyon Drake might get 15 targets on top of 15 carries. He really could be RB1 next week.
We're going to see a ton of like jet sweeps from Duvernay. I have a feeling, just a bunch of like gimmicky stuff. But
yeah,
he's one hit away from also just breaking in half. So that'll be interesting to see if he can hold up to larger workload.
And then Jalen Warren in this photo, I think, is Deshaun Watson here.
No, that's wait. Oh, Jalen Warren. Yes, that is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
That definitely is.
Jalen Warren, a bit less creepy and considerably quicker looking than Najee right now. Najee looks broken, man.
God. Yeah, Najee's been busted since whenever that Lens Frank, whatever they ended up calling it, happened in training camp. That was just like red flags everywhere for him, because he already was like horribly inefficient, and he just doesn't cut well.
He said he had a metal plate in his shoe for like the first 7 games or something. He just took it out.
Seems like pretty optimal way to play football.
Maybe if you're a kicker.
Isn't that what most of the players are doing? Strapped up in some way, some sort of splint in there.
Oh yeah, the guys that are banged up, they just shoot them up with whatever and get them back out there. Worry about it after.
Padding in the helmet for a concussion. Just get on with it.
No, they don't care about those.
Who was it? Somebody got an interception last week with a cast on their hand. Oh my God,
I don't know. Those guys, that is hilarious. Those linemen that are playing with like just legitimately just clubs on the end of their.
Just coming around, just blah.
I mean, I don't know.
They got
Warriors.
They're still saying Gordon's the starter. Murray's 46% rostered. He's a fine starter. He's going to get some touches. He's getting more of the goal line work. They had a couple drives where it looked like Russ wasn't dead, and Dulcich seems to really be a spark for them. So I don't know. Maybe they're okay. They might score a couple touchdowns a game. And then Pacheco is the kind of guy that you just feel like coming in fantasy playoffs, he might go on a heater as he just gets a little better, gets a little more trust in the system. You cannot start him right now unless you're wildly desperate, but he's the kind of guy you go on your roster if you got the space, because he might do it.
He has the juice. There's no question, but he is just like a bull in a china shop. I think any high leverage situation, he's not going to be out there. I don't think Reed will trust him. But if it's like a, blowout situation, or anytime they can try to showcase him and just let him get out there, he's like a stallion, just being ready to be let loose. But he's just bound to fumble or do something wacky. You can just see it the way he plays, just reckless.
Yeah. Jigga's asking, I got Chase Claypool and he's traded the Bears. Am I screwed? I mean, there's
That's
no
an
way we're
upgrade.
starting Chase Claypool before. I think this is a better situation for him. I think it's better for all the other Steelers wide receivers. I don't think they should have given a second for him, but as far as fantasy value for the players involved, I think it's a win-win. Makes Justin Fields better,
Fields is looking really good last few weeks, fantasy wise. I mean, he's putting up points.
Hit the quarterback page, Jigga, because he's the number one ad. Has to be. He's running all over the place, and he's got 20, 25, 26 points last couple of weeks.
He's rushing for like 50 yards a game or something like that over the last few. Running it in Montgomery, they've trusted less and less. They definitely are designing more runs for him. They're just I don't know, he's just getting a better feel for the game. You can tell as he, gets more starts under his belt. And he's played well against like good defenses. That's the last couple of weeks as I've been pretty surprised.
I thought the Pats were gonna just win by 30.
Me too. He looked so. It's so weird. I guess it's just with young guys, but 1 week they look completely inept. Like they just can't even. Zero chance of completing a pass. They look, and especially him. He's kind of got this like blasé look on his face all the time anyway. But he just looked completely deflated, defeated, whatever you want to use. And then next week he came out and just balled. So I mean, you just never know. I mean, it's just he obviously has a lot of ability. This will help him a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's made some really nice plays in the NFL. I think the Steelers have a weird abundance of riches at the receiver position when they have so many holes elsewhere. So I think it's a good trade for them to get a second. I think Claypool was originally a second, and then I think it's all around a pretty good trade for everyone involved. Dalton is, he's scoring. I think he's a QB1 the last 2 weeks. You can start him. Deshaun Watson, if you're looking all right, you've got some, you're all right with it, then he's worth rostering. I don't know. He comes back week 12, or actually week 13 because of the bye, and then it's I don't think you start him off the bat, but there's definitely upside there. The problem is now it's going to be winter in Cleveland. He might be a fantasy stud in the playoffs, and then Heineke, I just honestly more than anything, he's just really fun to watch. Kid plays hard. Receivers like him. I think it's good for McLaurin to have Heineke in there, and they've won his starts. Seems to be better for them than Wentz.
He loves McLaurin. Gibson plays a lot better. Obviously, they looked to him a lot last week. They just look like they function so much better as an offense when he's back there. In my opinion, Wentz sucks. I mean, he's just bad. So I think they realized it, and I'd much rather have Heineke back there slinging it around, trying to make plays. Rather than
it's not just that. Like I feel like
Heike's
got the support of the guys, and
it's just a totally different vibe. Wentz is a weirdo, dude. He's a complete weirdo as a person. I think it like carries over to locker room stuff. Like I think he does not vibe with most of the guys on the team, and he just doesn't develop those relationships that you have to have if you're going to be like a really good team.
Jigga or Pizza just asked Carr or Fields. I'd say Fields by a country mile.
No question.
Yeah.
You get like five points a game from just his rushing. Like just pencil it in. And then whatever he does otherwise is just, carry on top.
What Chicken Nuggets, what would you call a like a miserable kind of teammate? in soccer.
I don't
Call him
think
a
that's what
rat.
Wentz is.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he's
what
just
he
a
is,
weirdo.
rat.
A rat.
Yeah.
You kick that fucker out. That's what you do.
I mean,
Hurt his
that's what the
thumb.
last two clubs did.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
They built a statue of his arch nemesis in Philly, and it just crushed his soul. And he'll never be the same.
Weren't they playing like Seattle when he dove for the touchdown in like some random week, and that's when he blew his ACL in that year, and he was just never the same after that.
No, so it was when Clowney was a Seahawk, he knocked Wentz out in the wild card game a couple years ago, with a concussion. But the injury you're talking about, for some reason, I want to say against the Chiefs. It wasn't against the Seahawks, but yeah, he was actually like looking like he might be in the MVP race that year. He was having a fantastic year.
Yeah, he like scrambled, didn't he? And he like dove for a touchdown, and it was like a weird. I was at a Chiefs game that day, sitting in my friend has a converted ambulance into like a fan mobile, and we were sitting there watching that game. And I don't know why I had it in my head that it was Seattle. It's probably mixing up the other, like you said, but it was. I just can vividly see it, on the screen, him diving, going down, and they're like, "Oh no!" And that was like the turning point in his career.
Oh yeah. How's that his?
Dude, what a great pickup.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty smooth. I like it. It wasn't the Chiefs. No, who was it? Somebody look that up. All right, what do we got? Wide receivers left? That was the Rams.
Josh said against the Rams. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get Josh up here. Josh, why don't you click that link up above for StreamYard? We'll get you in here.
Yeah. And boys, I gotta hop off. It's been fun though. And Jungle,
let's
good
announce
job.
the bet for next week. So we're going double or nothing for week 9.
I'm full tilt. I was so mad at my guys. I had a little chat with them. I feel like we're in a pretty good spot. And if things don't work out, they don't work out. But I gotta give them another run.
It's kind of funny because you said like I am tilting, and then I posted in the main thread. All right, who's the next bet? And you said double or nothing, and I was like, well, all right, you're still tilting, or you really want to do this? But
I would do it either way. Yeah, no brainer.
Edgy, you making any trades for this week? Anything that you're trying to?
I've just given up. I've given up trying to trade in this week. I will say, I was looking at my lineup a little bit ago, and I think Kenyon Drake's available in my league, and I think I have 97 fab dollars left. I had such a good balanced like auction that I've had to make almost no pickups this whole season. So I've got money to spend. And the weird thing is with it's my first time playing in a league where you couldn't do $0 bids or $0 ads.
Yeah, same.
And I think it's going to come into play come playoffs where people aren't going to be able to make ads.
Yeah, that's what Well, yeah, so they won't be able to make. Right, they won't be able to make waiver wire pickups. They'll be able to add after just free agency.
Well, no, that's never an option in this league. It's always a $1 ad.
For waivers, but once waivers clear, then you can pick up anybody, free agents. You don't have to bid anything. It's just a free agent pickup. I picked up like 3 people this week before they played their games. It just turns into a green plus. Like you can just pick them up.
It must be Sunday morning, huh? Is it Sunday morning?
It may be. I don't know. I thought it was. I thought it was right after waivers ran on tonight at like 2:05 a.m. Central. So I guess 3:05. I thought once that runs, then everybody who's left becomes a free agent, and you can just pick them up.
Well,
we have a guy. We have a guy. We have a guy in our league who every week at that moment, like the waivers will run and then he'll make like an ad or two, just because you didn't want to spend any money on the waivers.
I mean, that's how most of my leagues are. I for some reason I thought it was a $1 minimum. So I'll look at that.
Yeah, if you're making
that
a waiver
will change
plan.
My strategy a little bit. Well, yeah.
Right. Unless I'm crazy, but Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what goes down. Boys, it's been real. Have a good one.
All right.
We'll see you in the trenches next week, and we'll be back at it, and we'll have another chat and see what happens.
All right.
Double or nothing. Are you gonna
week
win?
Double or
9.
nothing. Double or nothing. It's the only way to live. See you, boys.
I mean, his team is pretty stacked, so I could
They
see
got
why I
lucky
did
this
it.
week or what?
What's that?
I said you got lucky this week or what?
No, I mean, it was pretty. We both had pretty good weeks. I was third highest scorer in my division. I'm not sure where he finished exactly, but I had 147. He's, I think, also first in his division. So two leaders of their individual packs going against each other. But he's got more. He's got some power names on his team. I'm riding a lot of. I don't have any real stars other than Mark Andrews, who's been a little disappointing in the last 2 weeks. I got a lot of depth and relative mediocrity. So
Consistent points, but not much.
I got some weird bye weeks this week, so it's probably a good play for him to go double or nothing.
So it's a huge bye week, right? Well, like a lot of stars that are in typical teams that are out.
This week isn't terrible. Cowboys are on bye. Chiefs are on bye. Or no, I'm sorry. Chiefs are on bye this week. Cowboys are on bye next week.
Giants, Pittsburgh, San Francisco.
So, I mean, CMC is a huge star. Saquon. Pittsburgh doesn't really have anyone for fantasy that you want to start. I would say Najee Harris has probably been the biggest non-injury bust of the season to this point. And then, I mean, there's not a huge names lost there. Yeah. Cowboys
So
have
with
a
wide
couple.
receivers up, where are you at with wide receivers? Do you need a wide receiver? You picking any of these guys up?
So Rondale Moore is interesting because they played him in the slot a lot more this week, and he had a pretty good game. I think he had 90 and a touchdown. A lot more involved. The week before, they had put him out wide pretty much every snap, and the guy's like 5'8". Like, I don't know. He's not a perimeter wide receiver. It's a bad idea. You know, a 5'8" quarterback throwing a 5'8" receiver just across the field. It's an interesting proposition. So they put him in the slot, a lot more involved, a lot better outcome. And I think it's a great start right now. They're going up against Seattle next week. Their last matchup was like a 35-point total. That's the one we watched at the bar that day when I thought it was going to be about 80 total points. And so they're playing again, this time in Arizona, and the over-under is still one of the highest on the week. Probably more likely to see some more points, but who knows? I think while Hollywood Brown is still out, then Rondale Moore is a good start. I think Devin Duvernay is a great ad. He's probably, you've got Rashad Bateman out, perhaps Mark Andrews banged up, even if he plays. Duvernay is going to get targeted. They're also getting him involved in other ways. He's getting some jet sweeps, some stuff like that. So I think you could definitely do that. Josh Palmer, you've got Mike Williams out in Los Angeles. Herbert's been kind of disappointing this year. I wouldn't even say that. He's been very disappointing this year. But he's got to throw it to somebody. Eckler's going to get quite a few targets out of the backfield, but I think Palmer's the obvious wide receiver ad. And I think all three of those guys are absolutely startable this week and potentially could be legit starters on the your wide receiver 3 area. But in the KFFL league, we start 3 receivers and then a flex, and it's full PPR. So a lot of people flex a receiver. That makes a lot of sense. And then I've got Scantling and Hardman on here. The Chiefs added Tony, so I don't know. All these guys are the kind of guys who might get you like 2 touches per week. They also might get you 3 touchdowns. It's an absolute lottery pick dice roll week to week, which one might do something. And they added another mouth to feed who's a better athlete and higher draft capital original guy than these guys. So who knows? But if you don't have anybody else to play, the upside with these guys is through the roof. Treylon Burks should be coming back from injury maybe this week, if not, probably the next. And I think Tannehill's going to be back. And then Mac Hollins, he's playing every snap. So the Raiders suck, but he's had a good game or two. He's a deep league ad.
So 11%, that means 11% don't want him or want him.
So he's 11% rostered across all the leagues on the Sleeper app. So the Sleeper app's where we run the KFFL.
So that's a big gamble.
So he's got 89% of the teams don't have him. So yeah, he's a deeper league guy. But
I wish he was listening right now, so we could ask him why he should be 12% or maybe 13%.
I mean, he's on like his 5th NFL team. It's the first time he's really gotten any legitimate snap share, so he's probably feeling pretty good about 11%. It's probably the highest of his career.
There you go. There's a good chance then.
Yeah.
A lot of injuries at wide receiver, more than any other positions, or is it here and there?
It's weird, as the NFL has kind of shifted over the years, you're seeing running back targets and catches have gone down year over year. We used to have, a few years ago, we had 10 50-catch running backs, and that's gone down every year. I think last year was only 4, if I remember correctly. And so you're just seeing greater ball distribution. A lot of the teams this year are playing this like too high safety, just keep everything in front of them type defense. And so because of that, you're just seeing a lot of ball distribution, just a lot more people getting involved, a lot of like legitimate 3 receiver sets where all 3 may be the first read depending on the defense. And so there are still a few like alpha receivers, but you're just seeing a lot more distribution, teams getting multiple tight ends involved. Just a lot more. And I think that's why I personally advocate for adding more receivers to like a standard fantasy. Like ours is 3 plus a flex, just because there's more wide receivers that matter than there used to be.
Doesn't that make sense though, in terms of wide receivers and, like you said, the alphas, that they tend to get double teamed and it's much more difficult to find them more consistently. So spreading it out probably makes a little bit more sense, or at least give yourself more chance.
Absolutely. I mean, and then you still see like the true alphas, like, you got Cooper Kupp out there. It doesn't matter when he's getting triple teamed. They just have him run, 1-yard slants. So no matter what, they want to give him the ball. Hopkins is going to get 10 to 15 targets a game, every game he's healthy for. There's just some guys that are that guy no matter what. But, there's some guys that either have like quarterbacks who aren't quite as competent, kind of like DJ Moore has been dealing with, where he is a true alpha, but nobody else on his team that's a threat, and a quarterback that hasn't been, really replacement level NFL quarterback.
So if you're picking any of these guys, any of these 7, which one are you picking?
If I need to start this week, I think I'm probably gonna
Hollins.
I think I'm gonna go Duvernay as a 1-week start, just because I'm not sure if Andrew's gonna play, and I know Bateman's out. I think not Hollins. I don't know. I think, honestly, any of those top 3 guys, Moore, Duvernay, or Palmer, are all worth starting this week. All have, they're going to get targets. Palmer was dealing with injury himself, so hopefully he's all right. But I think all these guys are startable. And then the Chiefs guys, they'll get you anywhere from 0 to 30. Probably more likely to get 0.
Looking top shelf. Duvernay's your guy. First.
There's a couple of good tight ends out there, though. Here we go. Dulcich with probably the best hair in the NFL right now, rocking a perm.
That's a nightmare for a helmet. Surely that's a nightmare.
It's just this extra helmet. We've got an interior helmet. He looks good. He led the team in receiving yards. I think it's his 3rd game. He's a rookie. I think he's a 3rd-round pick. He's hurt the first few weeks. Russ absolutely loves him. He's just feeding him, and he looks good. In what I've seen, I haven't seen him have a drop ball. He's running nice routes. He's good. I don't think they're going to block much. Evan Ingram has been on my list here. I think every week we've done this show, and he had, I think, 7 for 80 and a touchdown. He continues to be targeted, continues to produce in full PPR. He's an absolute tight end one. Isaiah Likely, if Mark Andrews is out, Isaiah Likely is a top 5 tight end. If Mark Andrews is in, you probably shouldn't roster him. So it's kind of a dicey waiver pickup, but the upside is huge.
So is that a guy worth picking up and holding just in case, or do you not even risk it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think holding a backup tight end is a good idea when his only real true upside to be a starter is injury based. You do that with like running backs and stuff, but at tight end, you just don't have the roster space for something like that, generally speaking. So
hence the 7%.
Yeah, I mean, and that 7% is only because there was speculation Andrews might not play last week. It was 0% before that, I think. So, but I mean, he looked great in his action. He might get more snaps just because of how good he looked. He could have some upside. The thing is, like, tight end sucks. So you've got a few good tight ends, and then you have a few guys that are okay, and then everything else is an absolute just dice roll dumpster fire.
So what do they do tight end? Was it National Tight End Day that they do? Why do they do that? Is that because they're trying to highlight how bad the position is and then trying to bring some attention to it? Or what's the deal with that?
I think George Kittle started it just because why wouldn't he? And it's taken off. He does like a whole tight ends camp in the off season and, teaches like younger guys how to play tight end, like him and Travis Kelce do it. So it's just kind of it's nothing.
Class. That's so good.
It's just something he created because he wanted to, and it stuck. He somehow got all the huge announcers to make a big deal of it.
Conklin, any chance?
I don't know, man. Zach Wilson, I think, isn't very good, is what we're learning. He's the second overall pick that the Jets took last year, and he's missed some games, but in the ones we've seen him in, he's been underwhelming. But he doesn't have that many people to throw the ball to. He's got Elijah Moore, who was their second-round pick last year, doesn't want to be on the team. He's made that very clear. He only got 10 snaps last week. So I think Conklin's going to probably continue to get targets as long as there's no one else to throw to. Corey Davis is hurt, who I think is Zach Wilson's favorite target. So I think Garrett Wilson and Conklin are going to be fine for that time being. And then Logan Thomas.
They play the Bills this weekend, right?
Yeah, I would not start
on that one. No.
That's a real desperation start. The Bills are brutal. And then Logan Thomas, I don't know. I think they have Green Bay no. They got smoked by Green Bay. Who do they have? They have a good matchup. I just don't remember who. But, he had his first game back after missing several games with injury. I don't think he got a target last week, so that's a little concerning. But all last year with Heineke, he was tight end 6 in points per game. So the history's there. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you don't particularly want to start any of these last 3 guys.
I was going to say, so you picked the Hair Bear guy out of all of it?
For the season?
No.
Yeah.
We're talking way, right? No,
yeah, but it depends what you need. Like if your guy's on bye, you need a 1 week replacement. I mean, I think you maybe just see if you can get Likely for cheap because the upside there is number 1 tight end. And if Andrews isn't hurt, then you just pick up and replace somebody else. But if you need a season-long replacement, Ingram and Dulcich, I think, are both tight end 1s rest of the season based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty good ads, honestly. And then there's some defensive plays that are kind of fun. So Seahawks are actually number 2 defense in fantasy. They're fun to watch, man. They got a ton of rookies playing, and they're flying around the ball. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. They're getting better every week. They completely shut down the Giants. They're at Arizona. They just played them 2 weeks ago. I think they had 10 or 11 defensive points. Arizona's given up about 10 points per week to the defense. They're a fine play. Kansas City's got Tennessee. If Malik Willis is still starting, then Kansas City is probably the number 1 defense on the week, and they're only rostered in 6% of leagues.
So why are they so low?
Well, they're not very good.
They just score more than you. Was that the idea?
Well,
as an offense, run the offense.
So DST is, unless you have a really elite defense, it's just all matchup based. So I've got not so much this year because I've managed to get the Eagles in basically every league, but there's certain teams, certain years where I'll play a different defense every single week. Just it's all matchup based, because if you play a team that has a dog shit offensive line and a rookie quarterback, even a bad defense is going to look great. So the Chiefs are playing Tennessee. Tannehill's probably going to play, but Malik Willis played last week, and somehow they won because of Derrick Henry. But Malik Willis only had like 60 yards passing and 15 yards rushing, or something insanely low. So assuming that either way, I think it's a fine play. But if Malik Willis is starting, it's a smash play.
So then, Vikings. Back to my original question about your team versus the fantasy team. Does it make you happy that Seahawks are on there like that, or no?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I mean, if they're on there and they're playing, Arizona's a fine offense. Just Kyler Murray likes to take sacks and
play video games.
Play video games, right? Yeah. So I'm thrilled. I think the Seahawks, they're really impressing me right now. It's giving me kind of early vibes, like 2011 vibes when we snuck into the playoffs.
Stop.
Lost to the Falcons. Well, listen, we lost in the first round of playoffs that year. It wasn't, some great outcome, but the team was young and fun and exceeded expectations. I don't see us having a long playoff run or anything, but they're fun to watch again. So they've been a stagnant last couple of years, even though they were competitive. Just a little blah. So it's been fun.
Vikings, Packers. Packers are high, right? Well, higher than everybody else on their list, I guess. But
they play Detroit. It's probably going to be a shootout, so you're not going to get a lot of points for yardage or points. But I don't know. Jared Goff turns the ball over. They're definitely 4th on my list here as far as quality of start. But I mean, defense is kind of a crapshoot. I would be fine if we didn't have defense at all in fantasy, to be honest.
Is it Is it generally an afterthought, or like you said, you picked up the Eagles in most of your divisions, so that's something that you were clearly interested in? Is that true for most players, or is that something that people are just like, oh shit, I've got to pick a defense, so I'll just go with it?
It just depends. So if you have a defense that turns out that they're great and they come on early and you can get them for free or close to free, then yeah, I would rather not have to worry about changing my defense every week. But I'm also fine to do it. It's not something I prioritize. It's so finicky. There's a team might have a couple kick returns a year for touchdown. Who could possibly predict when that would happen?
Yeah. I
mean, there have been periods over time where there was what seemed to be a clear cut, number 1 DST. I do know that I think it's over the 12 years that Spot Tracker has been tracking it. Number 1 DST has never repeated as the number 1 DST. So, it's finicky.
So roll those dice again. Let's go.
Yeah, it's kind of a crapshoot. I think DST as kickers are fine not being involved in fantasy. But it's fun to do. Let's hit on some of these trades today. So there was 12 trades today, which is an NFL record. Honestly, I think the craziest one that I saw was the oh yeah, here we go. TJ Hawkinson to a division rival Vikings. They got a haul for him. They got a second and third round pick. He was a top 10 pick, but he hasn't done anything to make you think he's some sort of true star. I was surprised by that. I did not see that coming.
So do you pick him up in fantasy, or is he already picked up everywhere else?
Yeah, he's probably like 99% rostered. The thing is, tight end is such a wasteland that if you're halfway decent, then you're already on a team. So,
as we just
I don't know. The thing is, I have him on one team, not because I was high on him beforehand, just because I missed the top two guys, and then at some point you just have to take one. So I think I had him like the 9th or 10th round, and he's been fine. He had 1 week where he scored like 35 points, and then a bunch of weeks that were kind of garbage. But you shouldn't start him this week. He just got traded. It's tight end's more complicated to pick up and just step in and play than like McCaffrey going to the Niners. That's a lot easier to just pick up and go.
Sure.
Tight end's a lot more nuanced to the position. Chase Claypool is a little interesting. Jig asked about this one earlier. I don't know. I think the Bears overpaid from draft capital wise, but it's intriguing. The Bears really have come on in the last couple weeks. I mean, I don't think they're a playoff team or anything. They also traded their best defensive player today. But I think it's going to make Justin Fields better. He's an absolute quarterback one, I'd say, moving forward with his rushing upside. I think he's if he's on your waivers and your quarterback, you pay for him for sure. His fantasy playoff schedule is cake too. It's looking good. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Claypool, but I think it makes Darnell Mooney a little more appealing. He's about 65% roster. Didn't make the list because he was past the threshold, but Dolphins had a big move defensively. They picked up Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. They also sent Chase Edmonds back. I don't really think that means anything for Gordon or Murray as far as like Broncos running backs, but it's interesting. Jeff Wilson, who was the Niners running back who was getting most of the snaps before they got McCaffrey, got traded back to the Dolphins to kind of replace Edmonds. And the coach there, Mike McDaniels from San Francisco, he already knows Jeff Wilson. So that actually might be good for Jeff Wilson's stock, who probably got dropped in a lot of leagues after McCaffrey. So it could be interesting. Mostert has never played a whole season healthy, so he could be worth like a roster spot on the back end. The Falcon. So do you know Calvin Ridley? You heard of him?
Yes.
So he's currently suspended for the entire year for gambling on NFL games. It's kind of crazy because he plays like a low bet, like $1,000 bet or something. Not even really, just probably having some drinks, not thinking about it, and then got a pretty harsh suspension, more than Deshaun Watson.
In a game that he was playing in, or no?
No, he was hurt. It wasn't the team he was on. Just an NFL game. They're trying to set, like a Pete Rose precedent. So he got a longer suspension than Deshaun Watson. And he just got traded for like a 4th and a 5th round pick. And he was a 1st round pick. I'm a little surprised by that. I don't know if Falcons wanted to wash their hands of it or what. Doesn't mean anything for fantasy, but it's interesting. And then what Edgy brought up earlier is the Bills got Nyheim Hines from the Colts.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what that means exactly. Singletary's been surprisingly good this year, and maybe that hurts him a little bit. Nyheim Hines is definitely a better pass catcher, but I don't know that really means a lot other than don't pick up James Cook like I had on my graphic. But,
So that was one of my questions was, what are the impacts here for fantasy? So Jeff Wilson, as you said, is a potential maybe top of the pick here, maybe.
no, I think
Claypool.
the biggest fantasy takeaway here is that Justin Fields, who was already the number one quarterback ad for the week, feels even better as the number one quarterback ad. And I guess it's a little, it's actually a little better for the other Steelers receivers. So George Pickens, the rookie, and then I guess Deontay Johnson, probably Pat Firemay with their tight end. And then actually maybe Jalen Warren, the running back. I think you're going to take a little, not that Claypool is getting a ton of work or targets, but he's a good player. Take away some of that production, give it to the other guys. So all them, they all get like a very, very minor boost. But I think it's good for
next
Justin
week.
Fields.
See what value they have after that.
Honestly, there's not a Steeler I want to start at all. Fire me if I have to, but
because you don't like the Steelers?
No, because they suck. I mean, I guess I also don't like them. I don't really care about them.
Yeah, that's right.
They're just inept. Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, is a disaster. He's running like a high school offense. Yeah.
So that's the trade deadline. That's it, right? Ross is a lock. No more trades. Everything's done.
Yeah. So you might occasionally see somebody get cut. They'll do that for veterans sometimes, or like super disgruntled players. But I think it was LeGarrette Blount famously intentionally got kicked off the Steelers to go get signed by the Patriots. Got signed as soon as he got cut, became their lead running back, and then won the Super Bowl.
That's one in a million, perhaps. So we're not really looking at that right now.
No. No, I mean, I don't think any of these moves are huge. I think some of the Lions players benefit from losing T.J. Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe Josh Reynolds, probably both backs, Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. But I mean, I think the Chase Claypool move is probably the biggest for fantasy. But none of it's huge. I kind of thought we'd see Brandon Cooks get traded today. I thought he should have been traded probably, but he tweeted something around the trade deadline that certainly indicated that he wanted out. But
too little, too late.
Maybe they'll cut him.
All right, so weekend ahead. What are you looking forward to?
Not much. I'm excited for this double or nothing on the Steeds bet. I don't think there's any matchups next week that are like particularly exciting. Navigate some buys. I'd like to see a little more from guys like Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman, but I don't. It's kind of weird. Like, I feel like there's not a ton of storylines. I think the biggest storyline right now for me is just Christian McCaffrey in that San Francisco offense is going to be insane. Anybody who had the guts to take him over Jonathan Taylor this year is feeling really good about themselves.
Just having a great time. They just gave him everything, right? Away you go.
He had a passing, rushing, and receiving touchdown in his
3
second
different
game
touchdowns.
And that hadn't been done since LaDainian Tomlinson, who is one of the best players I've ever seen play. He was a more versatile pass catcher than Barry Sanders, but not Barry Sanders in the backfield, but an amazing, first ballot Hall of Famer to it. And it was like 2004, 2005.
So Thursday Night Football, Eagles, Texans, not excited about that. Excited about that.
Yeah, you know what? The only Texans game that I'm a little bit excited for is Deshaun Watson's first game back is at Houston, which is some sort of like, the fuck was the NFL thinking?
Isn't the schedule random? It's supercomputer. There's no coincidence there.
Why? I certainly don't think they did that on purpose. I think it's the literal last thing they wanted. But I mean, the schedule takes a ton of people to make, and just I don't know. So because of the way it actually has to do with the collective bargaining agreement. If he didn't play, it was at least 6 games, then his contract this year wouldn't have counted. And Jigga, come up and tell your joke. I refuse to repeat it. Oh.
That's never too soon. You're talking to an Englishman who appreciates a lot of that sort of stuff. Who would freely repeat that sort of stuff too.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. I think we're gonna get in talks to maybe look at doing some World Cup stuff. Our buddy DJS, perhaps we'll do some shout outs here and try to put some stuff together. But I'm going on baby bonding. I got a 5-month-old here in about 2 weeks, so I will be on leave for the entire World Cup, and it's going to be kind of like people getting their vasectomy intentionally for March Madness. So
we can swatch roles a little bit, so you can ask me a little bit more about players. I can give you a little bit more opinion on them and teams and performances.
Yes, sir.
There'll be a huge England flag behind me right there.
Oh, I thought Jacob was hopping on. All right, well, yeah. Thanks for hopping on here, Chicken, for Doughboy, and we'll we'll be back. We'll have you up again. We'll get you in it next week. We got to get you in a fantasy league next year.
Yeah, I think I need that. I think I need to be a part of it a little bit more.
It's a lot easier. Like, when I was trying to track basketball a little closer, I joined a fantasy league and was way more in tune with what was going on. And if you're not like a natural fan, I mean, even from playing so rare soccer, I've learned a little bit, but that's not quite
I'm just here for
involved.
Deshaun Watson jokes and all the good stuff like that. That's why I'm here.
Perfect. Oh. Hi, brother. I'm Jungle Goat on Twitter.
At Chicken Nuggets _
At the end.
Yeah, I didn't have it in here for some reason. Chicken Nuggets _
Doughboys has 2 underscores for some reason.
Oh, there you go.
They say if one's not good, or if one's good,
like a double better. Space. You just hide it. You hide that you didn't get there first. Is basically what it is.
All right. Well, we'll call it.
That's it.